Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Hard Nine podcast. Today is December the 4th. Happy holidays to everyone. Hope you had a fantastic Thanksgiving, if that's what you celebrate. I do have friends from England who do not give a fuck about Thanksgiving, so there is that. But hopefully the rest of you are celebrating over here in the Americas. Also, hopefully you're having a fantastic holiday season with everyone. We are so glad you could make it, and we are glad to be back. The hot stove is heating up. I guess we could say the microwave for the Cardinals is starting to
Mhm.
like we're starting to program it a little bit.
We've gotten no news still, other than Arenado's creating his own news, but there's really been no news so far. So I don't know. It's been boring. Like everyone's waiting for Juan Soto to fall and for that domino to fall, which seems like it's gonna happen before Monday, is what Passon said, which is obviously the first day of the winter meetings. Um, And it's weird to say Nolan Arenado is connected to Juan Soto because obviously we know very different caliber of players, different money you're investing in someone, and one's a trade, one's a free agent. But I would assume a lot of teams that miss out on Soto, like there's 5 teams in according to everybody. If the Red Sox, for example, miss out on Soto, they could say, okay, we might have 35 extra million dollars to give to Nolan Arenado this year if they want to do that. So I do think he is very connected. So we're just in a holding pattern for Juan Soto. And I
Four
think that's what
teams
they
right now,
want.
you think, for Soto? Blue Jays, Yankees, Mets, Red Sox?
Dodgers gave him a 600 million plus offer already too. I mean, I would assume some of it's deferred. I don't think he's going to take that one.
Before we get deep into it, because I know that we want to talk a little bit about, obviously, we want to talk more about the Cardinals, but obviously Blake Snell signs with the Dodgers. They defer all the money. Does feel like they're playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. Feels like the Cardinals have been playing tiddlywinks potentially for the last 10 years. So that's why we are where we are. I know that, I mean, they've been saying in the NFL forever that you can't kick the can down the road. It does catch up eventually, probably to somebody. But when you're bringing in the billions and billions of dollars that the Dodgers are, does that can ever really catch up? I mean, isn't at this point it's up to the owners to make some changes? And by the way, shout out to the Dodgers for saying if you're going to give me these rules that you have put into place and we have all agreed to, I'm going to play with them and I'm going to play by them. Everybody who gets pissed, that's on you for getting mad because what they're doing is no different than what any other owner could do.
I also think there's a misunderstanding of what the Dodgers are doing by deferring money. I'm pretty positive that all that money's in escrow. So that money's gone. They don't have that money anymore. So they're not spending money in 2040 for Otani. That money's spent. They're just not
So
counting it against the CBT.
correct. And MLB is the same as NFL, right? Because NFL, when you give the contract, that money has to be put into escrow. I
Yes,
just
it
always
does.
assumed that all four major sports, and I mean, throwing soccer there as well, have to do that as well.
Yeah, the money has to be there. They can't just give you
Correct.
money. It's like, do they actually have it? That's
Right.
not allowed. Um, I like there's a couple of conversations to be had here. One, the easiest thing MLB can do and needs to do to combat this and say, hey, no more Dodgers, because the CBT is there for a reason, is to stop people from going and getting 80 free agents. So if they're gonna skirt the system and use other things to their advantage, fine, fair play. But what they need to do moving forward after the CBT, which is not till after 2026, so we
Yeah.
still have 2 more years of this or three, is it just needs to be AAV based. If you get someone a 10-year contract and it's $700 million, I don't care when you're spending that money and when you're giving it to them, but to the CBT, that's $70 million for 10 years. That's what it needs to be. That's it. That's all it should be. That's how you fix it. That's how the Dodgers wouldn't be doing this. They wouldn't be signing everybody if Otani was counting as $70 million against their competitive balance tax. So I hope that happens. But I mean, credit to the Dodgers. I'm sure being a Dodgers fan is great right now. Um, where do you stand on them ruining the sport, quote unquote?
They're not. Like that's insane. What would ruin the sport is the golden hitter or whatever the fuck
Let's
Rob
get to that
Manfred wants
later.
to put in.
Don't
Yeah, that's
jump
fine.
ahead.
That's what would ruin the sport. But they are not. Again, I go back to they are playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. The amount of money, I don't remember the
But
number,
I don't
so
agree
I'm
with
not
you. I don't think what they're doing is smart. I don't think it
that's
is.
I
I think it's just what they're able
disagree.
to do.
I disagree simply because I read the article and I wish I could remember, but as I get older, my memory not as great as it used to be. But whatever the money they brought in 1 year alone from Japan and from the foreign fans for like pays for Otani's contract and then some over the amount of the
Well,
contract. It's
yeah.
unbelievable the amount that they brought in. And I will say it. It's not. This isn't brain surgery. you win, you make more money as an owner. It's that simple. You
Yeah.
have more games, you have more TV. Obviously, they are dealing
Sometimes.
with a great. They are great dealing with a great TV deal. They're in LA. They're the second largest market in sports. I mean, do I think they're ruining the sport? No. Look,
I
if you
have a
want to go
take.
spend money on these guys, go spend money on these guys.
I have a take. They're ruining the off seasons. Them and Steve Cohen. Like they're not ruining the sport in terms of on field because I'm sorry, anyone that thinks the Dodgers are a guarantee to win the World Series next year, you just haven't watched baseball or you've forgotten what you watched. That's
We
not how
agree.
this sport works. Could they win it next year? Yes. Have they given themselves the best chance to win it? Of course. Like there's no one that has a better chance, but it's just a chance, and the odds are they're not going to win it. I would, if you were to give me the field, I'm betting it. Okay, so but I do think they're ruining the offseason, them and Steve Cohen. Like, it's good for the players. Great. I'm not taking anything away from that. But the fact that we have, and this goes into the Juan Soto conversation, a generational hitter, right? If you want to argue whether he's a generational talent or whatever, he's one of the 5 best hitters at his age that have ever lived to this point in his career.
Correct.
And there's 5 teams in on him. That's not good for your sport.
No.
In a non-salary cap sport, that's bad.
Well,
That's
I would love
because
to.
Steve Cohen has like blown this whole thing up and made it almost and I'm not blaming him for it, whatever, but he's made it almost like a bragging rights game for really rich organizations to say, oh, I got the guy that everybody wanted.
Even though he hasn't.
He hasn't, no. And
Right,
apparently
right.
he's not even interested in Corbin Burns or Max Fried. I'm not sure what's going on there, but it's weird.
I think I would love at a later date in the offseason, I think we should have the discussion of salary cap, salary floor. And I think also I just don't know what I think at some point these other owners that don't spend the luxury tax money that they are given, to me, that's a bigger problem than the people paying the luxury tax. That's what I'll
Yeah, it
say.
is. I don't think they're a problem. I think I don't think I guess this is the best way I could put it. I have no problem with what the Dodgers or the Mets or anyone's doing. That doesn't mean I don't think there's a problem with the sport, and I do.
And
Like,
how
I think there's a
well,
difference.
we'll talk about that later. We'll talk about how to fix it later. Let's get into the
How would you
Cardinals.
fix it? Force bad owners out of the sport. That's what I would do.
Yeah. But we know that owners are like the old boys club, man. They don't vote against each other very often. There's a reason that
I don't know. Do you think Hal Steinbrenner and Steve Cohen and the ownership group, the Guggenheim group in the LA, do you think they like the owners that don't spend the money they're giving them? I bet they don't.
absolutely not. Absolutely
I
not.
would guarantee they want those guys out.
Yeah.
Because then guess what? They don't have to give them money if they're spending over $100 million.
Right.
So the Cardinals don't get money.
Yeah,
By this
that's a
year.
good point. All right. So if you were to handicap onto the Cardinals, Nolan Arenado, where do you think he ends up and how soon?
I think he's going to get traded at the winter meetings.
Okay.
And
Which start what date? What is that? The 12th?
I think they technically start on Sunday, I think, which is the 8th.
Yeah,
But
the 8th.
it always starts on Sunday, but it really doesn't till Monday. You know, they'll get in on
Okay, so the
Sunday.
9th. Okay,
So
I was
Monday
off
is
on
when
the
I'd
days.
be looking for like things to start happening if Soto has signed. If he hasn't, nothing will happen. For Arenado, I think he gets traded in the winter meetings or right after or right around it. There's 2 teams that I think are the most likely. It's the Red Sox and it's the Dodgers are the 2 most likely teams in my opinion. Here's the thing: if the Dodgers offer the Cardinals anything that they're like, that's fine, we take that, and they give it to Arenado, that's where he's going. So that's all it takes is the Dodgers really giving an offer because Arenado can force his way to LA if he wants to. Now, if the
Correct.
Dodgers decide not interested, or if they somehow, heaven forbid, sign Juan Soto and decide, well, we don't need him, then it's the Red Sox. But those are the teams that I think make the most sense unless someone else emerges. The Yankees, maybe. That's another option, but I don't really see it.
Yeah. You said all along you don't see Nolan in New York along with Goldie. Like you said that you just don't see that.
It just doesn't seem to fit. I mean, it could happen, and
Yeah.
I think it would be a weird. Like, imagine Nolan clean shaven all the time. I don't like that's weird.
What do you think happens with Ryan Helsley?
Before we do that, can we get to Arenado's Instagram post?
Oh yeah, sure.
So, did you see them? Because I'm not sure. I know you haven't been on Twitter much.
Have not been very busy.
All right.
I
Two
actually haven't been
things.
on X at all.
Okay, back-to-back days. This was a couple days ago. So, first day, he posts a thing with his family, like a nice picture montage of his family, one of those things you scroll through on Instagram. And the song was Dodger Blue. Okay. Then the next day he posts another thing. Kike Hernandez comments on that post and says, "What? No song this time?" And he liked it, of course. And then he posts on his Instagram story. He reposts a fan of the Dodgers saying, "Nice to meet you, Nolan. Future Dodger, hopefully?" Question mark. And then he reposted that. So Nolan Arenado's doing his marketing campaign, I think, to get to the Dodgers.
Does feel that way. Yes.
And there's a couple things we can go down this route. Like I think it's fine. Like maybe he's not. Maybe he likes Kendrick Lamar. I love Kendrick Lamar, and he just really likes that song. He knew what he was doing though. Like you can't just post Dodger Blue as a Cardinal on the trade market and not expect people to not know that you want to be a Dodger. Um, I don't know what to make of it. Like I'm ready
By
for it
the
to be
way,
over.
shout out Kendrick for seeing the lady in the mariachi band at the Fernando Valenzuela tribute at the Dodger game and saying, "I'm putting you on my album." That's amazing. So
Twice.
that well
Yeah.
done. Well done. Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, we have seen these cryptic messages from athletes all the time and they end up meaning nothing, but there are times that they
Devontae
do mean
Adams was a
something.
Raven. And
Right.
I just that's the first time I've thought about that since he did that. Why did he post that picture?
Yeah, who knows?
So weird. He had
I
been
know.
trolling someone.
Yeah, that
I
had to
don't
be
know.
yes.
I'm ready for him to be. I'm ready to move on. Like if they don't trade him, I think that's a massive mistake on a lot of levels.
I think if they don't trade him and Helsley, it's a massive mistake. That's what I will say. And I just have a very bad feeling that they're not going to trade Ryan Helsley. And it makes literally zero sense from the organizational standpoint. As far as I am concerned, I'm not running it. I understand that.
It. I can see if they don't get good value for him, then don't trade him. That's where I'm at. Why? Like if you're getting the equivalent to what you got in 2022 from 2023 from the Jack Flaherty trade, don't bother. Like I don't want Drew Rom. Like I'd
Well,
rather have
we
Helsley for
agree
a
there,
season.
by the way. We totally
But that's what
agree
I'm
there.
saying though. If there's not value, there might not be. Like I don't remember when was the last time you saw a full-time closer, a star closer get traded in the offseason with a year left.
You know that I don't know that answer,
They
by the
all
way.
get
I hope
traded at
that
the
was
trade deadline.
rhetorical.
Like Tanner Scott, did the Marlins trade him last offseason?
No.
No. I mean, they don't always get traded. I don't remember the last time that's happened. I guarantee you Devin Williams isn't getting traded. Like, there's no
Yeah.
way. And there was an interesting story, really good reporting from John Denton. He talked to Helsley, and Helsley said he wants to sign a long-term extension with the Cardinals. He wants to be here. That's his goal. But he's worried. I'm paraphrasing a bit. He's worried that because he knows John Mozeliak had his back and wanted him to be here, but he doesn't know if Hein Bloom feels the same. Obviously, you get a new boss, you don't know how they feel about you. So Helsing wants to be here, which is like, is there a world where maybe our expectations of Ryan Helsley getting $20 million a year like Josh Hader are that's not what's going to happen. Because if you're not getting a massive trade package offer for him, then maybe teams don't think he's a $20 million closer. And maybe it's closer to 12 to 15 a year for 4 years. Do you consider if he came to you and he said 4 years, 60 million, do you sign it if you're the Cardinals?
I think it's risky. I think it's risky.
I didn't realize Helsley was 30 years old,
Yes.
which I thought he was 28 or 29. I knew he pitched in college for 3 years, so I guess I should have known he was a bit older. But I think I would consider it if it's at a reasonable price. Now, if I'm Ryan Helsley, I'm saying I'm going to go out there, win National League Reliever of the Year for a second year in a row, and I'm going to get paid $20 million. So I don't know how they could come together on that.
Yeah, I don't
But
know that answer either. I think it does lend credence to the fact that they probably should have traded him at the trade deadline last year.
no, I'll
But
stand on that being
well,
stupid.
when you're still trying to make the run, you're not going to. So it's
That's just
irrelevant.
that's just hindsight to
Right.
me.
It's
Like
an right.
that's
I agree. But it's an irrelevant argument because it wasn't going to happen. I
it's
just
that like that to me is the same as when people said, "Oh, should have traded O'Neill after 2021." It's like,
right.
why would they have traded an MVP candidate when they were
Yeah.
trying to win? It
Right.
doesn't make any sense.
We
Um,
kind of glossed over the Blake Snell thing a little
before
bit.
we get, I had more on the Helsley. If we
Oh,
get into
I'm
that.
sorry. My apologies.
Last year, and this is a loose comparison I'm using, but I want to know if you think there are parallels to be drawn in this situation. Last year, when the Brewers traded Corbin Burns, everyone said they're resetting. Willie Adames needs to go. Devin Williams maybe needs to go. He only has 2 years left. And that was the narrative. They kept Devin Williams. Everyone knows 2 years of Devin Williams, they probably could have gotten an insane haul, I would guess. Willie Adames, the Dodgers wanted him. They were trying to lure him to LA, similarly to what they did with Arenado 2 years ago when they were sending out flashes about wanting him. And they kept him, and they went ended up making the playoffs. And they were saying probably in their heads, if we're bad, then we'll trade him at the trade deadline. We believe these two guys are good, but if we keep him around, we might go on a run. Like, do you think their Helsley situation, if they don't get blown away by a trade offer, you could view it similarly?
Absolutely, you could. I don't think that the Cardinals are set up as well as the Brewers, simply from a depth perception or perspective. Yeah. That's all I would say. How especially in the rotation right now. But yes, I definitely believe that is the case. And I know that there were injuries there, but you also don't have a Freddie
Freddie Peralta.
Peralta. Good Lord, that lost
yeah, you
it
do.
There.
Sonny Gray's every bit as good as Freddie Peralta.
Okay, that's fine.
Probably better, to be honest.
Yeah. So that's fine. That's fine. We'll say that. But
I mean, he is.
No, you're right. You're right. But I don't see why they couldn't. It's the NL Central, right? I mean, we know that's the land of anything can happen.
Now, yes, it is. Obviously, that division. I know the Brewers were really good last year, and I think Jackson Chourio is about to break out, and he might be an MVP candidate next year. He's a stud. But I still don't think that Brewers team is still without Willie Adames. There's a chance that they really fall apart next year. I'm not saying it's likely, but I don't know if there's a guarantee they're going to repeat their success. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think you could say that with almost every team except for a handful.
Yeah, but I think everyone's looking at Brewers like that's the powerhouse. Like you're not catching them. Like the Brewers, they have enough young talent that was the surprise last year that there is a world where a lot of those guys don't repeat their performances.
Yeah,
and they end up being the 84 team win we thought they were going to be last year. That's possible.
Yeah, we say this about the Brewers every offseason, and every offseason and every season comes, they're right there. So I refuse to put them in the coffin before.
I won't. I think they're going to. I mean, if you ask me who's going to win the NL Central, that's my pick. But is there a world where they don't? Sure.
Of course.
And the Cardinals are most definitely in that conversation of who could win it if they don't. Now, are they maybe the third most likely? Maybe, but.
Okay, you want to get to the hires? The new Cardinals
yes.
Hires? Before we get to the rest of the league, let's go ahead and talk. Now, clearly, you and I know everything about these people, and we know their extensive backgrounds, and we're incredibly pumped for these hires, correct?
Well, no, but people that are smarter than me are excited for them.
Okay, all right.
Here's where I'm at with this. I'm not ever going to be excited about any of this because I don't know anything about anything. But I will say if people like Kyle Reese are like, this is pretty solid, I think this can be good, then I'm at least going to be like, okay, great. Like this is my hope. Before the offseason started, I said, get smart people who I've never heard of. That's what they're doing, apparently. So they hired Larry Day let me find Larry Day, who's the director of the farm. I think he took over Gary LaRocque's job. Yes, okay. But I thought Serfolio did that. I don't know. Whatever. There's a lot of new job titles that they're making up here. And
well, you know why? You know why? Because we actually have more than 5 humans doing jobs now.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a second. But yes, that is true. So he was obviously, in my opinion, a Rob Serfolio hire. He's from the Cleveland Guardians organization. He's also 39 years old. So another young guy, which is great. Give me all the young guys you can. And this other guy, Koshan, who they got today, was from the Dodgers and the Giants. He's a strength and conditioning coordinator when he was there, and now he's a player performance. So I think strength and conditioning, I would guess.
Yes.
And then the third one, which a lot of people are excited about, and I think validly so. That's not a phrase. Whatever. Is Matt Pierpoint, who was the Seattle Mariners minor league pitching coordinator guy. And if you're going to take from an organization and you're saying, how do we develop young starting pitching? That's the one. The Guardians and the Mariners. Perfect. So I don't know. Maybe these guys could get fired in 3 years and they don't do well. But if you're looking on the surface, you're taking from the Dodgers, you're taking from the Mariners, and you're taking from the Guardians. Good with me.
Agreed. We agree. That's all I have to say about it. I like the organizations they come from. That's all I know.
Also, I like the people that are hiring them. I like Serfolio and I like Chaim Bloom, and those are who are hiring these people.
Okay.
It's not Mo.
Here we go.
Mo may be in in the room when it's happening, but they're not the ones making the choice.
Cardinals
He's not.
dynasty incoming.
I mean, maybe they get back to when are they building a pitching lab? Because until they do that, I don't know if I care.
Hard to believe that thing's not built.
They still haven't broken ground in, I don't know, that's not the right phrase, but they still haven't started their renovations in Jupiter that were supposed to happen like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Mosaic has to be like banging his head against the wall. Like, what do I have to do?
He might need to do that a few more times, to be honest with you, if he needs to. But yeah, I'm happy with what
Jeez. Sending strays. What hasn't done anything wrong yet? Give him a break. This year.
I'm
This
happy
year.
with the direction as far as it looks on paper. And that's all you can ask for right now, because
Mhm.
it's going to take a while to see it implemented and see the fruits of their labors. But I do like the seeds that they've planted, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. And the one thing, this doesn't matter, but this is how I think. We before the off season really got underway and they started hiring people, we both said they need to be upfront with what they're doing. If you're gonna sell us on we're not spending money at the major league level, we're focusing solely on player development. Great, but you have to keep the fans in the loop with what you're doing. We have to know what you're doing, or we're just gonna assume you're doing nothing. So I like
Can,
that they are announcing all of these things. Like these
can
things
I
aren't
stop
being
you for
hidden.
1 second there? I don't agree with that at all. I understand what you're saying. And in theory, I get it. And in logic, I get it. But there is no reason that they can't spend money on player development and the major league
But
roster. And
I didn't say that. I'm saying
we
that's the
said
idea
if
they're
they're
selling
not
us on.
spending money at the major league roster because they're doing this, to me, it's not an either or situation, is all I'm saying.
I think in this situation, for minor league player development and for major league payroll, I agree. But I think when you look at their situation, it is necessary not to go sign mid-tier free agents because you're blocking people that you need to see what they can do.
That we agree with, but there are other tier free agents out there that could help you in the long run, who are young, who could help in your rebuild, that potentially
Are
would
you
be
are
great.
you
I'm
saying
not saying
Juan
they.
Soto?
No, 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 no. I was talking about like Sasaki and guys like that. That's all I'm
They'll go
talking
after
about.
Sasaki.
Yeah,
They're not going to get
like
him, but they'll go after him.
right. Who probably
He's
ends
going to
up in
San
the.
Diego, by the way.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Well, I think LA is still in that mix too.
Oh, they'll be in on him for sure.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's not going to go there. I don't know why. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't. Do you think it would hurt his earning power in the market, like for ads, if he goes there and he's the third most famous Japanese player?
In LA? No.
That's what I've read. Is that people think Otani and Yamamoto are going to really outshine him.
Interesting. I
Also,
mean,
here's the thing for Sasaki. If you're signing a minor league deal and you're on a team with 12 starters, like the Dodgers have 12 good starters, if you're bad, are they going to keep starting you? I
no,
don't
I
know.
agree. Do you think these guys coming over from Japan and Korea had really long sit downs with their interpreters and said,
I
uh,
don't know.
we need to make sure you're staying out of the old pocketbooks, buddy?
I would guess most of them assume that their interpreter isn't Ippei Mizuhara.
Well, that is the problem, and that
Is
is
he
why
in
we are
prison
here.
yet? Do we know?
I don't even think the charges have been officially filed, or they filed them and it hasn't gone anywhere yet.
There was a report
Because he is
yesterday.
getting sued by Otani now for baseball cards,
Yes,
450
yes,
grand or
that's what I
something
was
like
gonna
that.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say there's a report yesterday where he's like received $75,000 in damages. The dude lost like $12 million.
Right, right. But either way, I'm intrigued to see how that. Hey, that's the gig right there, folks. You're getting ready. You're getting ready to go to high school. Go to a place where they offer multiple foreign languages and become an interpreter, like for multiple reasons. By the way,
I would guess for people from America listening to this, I would assume most of the people from Japan are wanting Japanese interpreters that speak
that's probably correct.
English.
That's probably
But I mean,
correct.
if you wanted to go with like one of these players that goes to Japan and you
Yeah,
wanted to
that's
be their version
yes.
of that,
The all I was saying is the market is expanding globally. Doesn't even have to be Japan. Like there are a lot of
yeah,
options out there for people
I
now.
would say anytime you can speak two languages fluently, you're going to make some money somewhere.
Yes, we agree. We agree. Let's talk a little bit. Anything else you want to get into the cards? Because with the winter meetings coming, obviously I don't suspect too much to happen outside of an Arenado trade. I think that's probably all we're looking at over the next couple of weeks, don't you?
I think they could get creative. I don't know if they will. Probably not.
They're not.
Yeah, that kind of is my expectation is just that. Now if they package someone with him and get something better back, maybe. I still think if you're looking at LA, they have a lot of really interesting young pitchers that have become that just keep getting pushed down in their depth chart. That you might be able to take advantage of that situation.
Right. Let me ask you
But
this last
also
question.
maybe not.
Go ahead. Last question I have for you on the Cardinals is: do you think that as we continue to see people who were added at the 2023 trade deadline be cut from the 40-man roster, do you think that's Chaim Bloom's passive aggressive way of saying you really did not do a good fucking job at the trade deadline, Mo? So let's get these guys out of here and move on from them? Or do you think it's just that it's sort of mind blowing how few are left now on the 40-man roster from that where we were giving him his flowers? I think Chaim Bloom came in and said, this was terrible.
Well, I think for Kloppstein and Rom, those are the two that are off of it, right?
Correct.
I think they're both injuries. So I don't know. That's why I don't. That's why trading Helsley only if you're getting a guy is good.
I
Like,
agree.
if you're trading Ryan Helsley near the Cardinals, target whoever is talking to you. Let's say you have 5 teams. Target one guy from all 5 of those teams and say, "I need that guy. You're not getting him."
Yes.
That's what. And even if that guy, say it's the 6th ranked prospect in Baltimore, but you really love him, and he's not good, but at least you got the guy you wanted.
Right.
Like don't give me guys you don't want, but you're like, oh, it's the best of what we could get. Like I don't want
And
that. I'd rather have
also,
Hensley.
can we throw this in there? Don't trade for guys who want to be here. That does not need to be a prerequisite anymore.
Yeah, unless it's Brent Rooker.
I don't. Well, that was on my list of guys you could get creative with, but I think for his
I
sake,
want it.
no, I
I
wouldn't
want
either
it.
at this point. By the way, great Instagram and great follow. I'm off
On
X, but when
Twitter,
I was
he's
on
funny.
there,
I like
he
him.
was a good one. But he's also But
Also, a former Cardinal fan. That's what I was referencing. Um, Last thing I got, and then we can move on from the Cardinals.
sure.
I Do you think if the Cardinals, let's say they exceed our expectations, and let's say most of the questions we have, they're like up in the air, like Gorman, Walker. Most of those go positively. It's a hard proposition. It's kind of what happened to the Brewers last year. Everything turned up, positive for them basically. And those guys become guys you're like, okay, we're comfortable with them moving forward. They're everyday guys. Do you think there's a world where in come the 2025, 2026 offseason, technically, the one after this season, they're looking to spend again? Or do you think it's 2 years of them saying, maybe we don't have to spend?
I would say that if those guys grow the way you just said that, they have to be that way for 2025.
I agree.
I don't think you can do this for 2 years if those guys develop into what you foresee them becoming at the major league level.
Just everyday players, right?
Correct.
Like
And everyday
not even
guys who are
stars.
going to contribute in 1 through 6 in the lineup. That's what I would say.
Here's my dream scenario. You ready? This is I'm looking a year ahead because it sucks when your team doesn't want to do anything positive. My dream scenario is they win like 86 games next year, maybe miss the playoffs, or maybe they're better and they make the playoffs. Either way, they win 86 or more games. And the Cardinals like, oh, okay, Heim, you can go get a couple guys. We need a middle of the order bat. There's a certain right fielder that's going to be a free agent next year, and his name's Kyle Tucker, and they're going to give
That
him
is,
$350 million, and he's
I'm
going to be a
in.
Cardinal.
Although, talk about a guy who's been injured. That's another
No,
one.
I don't care. He's freaking awesome. He is
I
so
agree.
good.
I agree. And
He is so
clutch.
good.
And
I
clutch.
think I'd cry. I think I would
Yeah.
cry. He's so good.
As living down here among all of my Astros fans. So the guys that I run with that love baseball are Astros fans. Kyle Tucker, Alex Bregman, and Jose Altuve, or Alvarez. Those four, like if
Pretty good
one of
for
them
it.
leaves and there's a shot that two of them could end up leaving, they're gonna have anxiety attacks down here. So yes, we agree
He's
on
so
Kyle Tucker.
good. He is
Yeah.
so good. That's been my dream Cardinal for like 5 years.
Well, he definitely is. I mean, but he would fit so many other places. I mean, you could say that
I
he's a
know what you
great
mean.
fit for the Cardinal, huh?
He
What
prototypes as a Cardinal. I hear what you're saying.
he does. He does. You know where I'm going with that.
All right, let's move on. You made it too obvious.
Um,
He is great though. He's so good.
yes.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Okay, Blake Snell, we kind of glossed over it, but were you shocked by the amount of money? Were you shocked by the years? Were you shocked by the location? Did anything surprise you with the Blake Snell deal? By the way, shout out, he deserves it. I know he doesn't throw 200 innings like some of the other guys do, and I know that bothers some people, and I know that bothers some organizations. but Blake Snell is as good as of a lefty as you're going to find in Major League Baseball. I mean,
Yeah. I mean, he's the best, second best lefty in baseball, probably behind Derek Skubal. No, Chris Sale. He's right up there. He's up there with
right,
all of
that's top five. I
them.
mean,
One surprise, I didn't know what to expect for him. I kind of like honestly almost forgot he was a free agent again. One before I say anything, I'm very happy for him. That dude deserved to get
me
paid.
too.
Like he has two Cy Young awards. He was the best pitcher in baseball down the stretch last year again. Um, and I think he's perfect for the Dodgers. So I was really it's a perfect fit for him. Like outside of the fact that they're the Dodgers and they're fantastic and all that. But the Dodgers are a team that every year, the second half of the year, their rotation just falls apart. It's injuries, it's bad performance, it's Clayton Kershaw, whatever's happening with him every year where he's kind of playing, kind of not. Um, and he's fantastic in the second half. Like if there's a guy the Dodgers could use, it's a guy that might be bad in the first 80 games, but the last 80, he's going to be the best pitcher on planet Earth. And that's what Blake Snell has consistently done. I can't explain it. I don't understand it at all. It makes no sense. Maybe it's the weather, but if you're in LA, it's going to be warm all year. So maybe that's a factor. I don't know. But he's a perfect fit there, and he's going to be absolutely incredible. He might win his third Cy Young. Interesting question I just thought of. If he wins his third Cy Young, is he a Hall of Famer?
I don't know what his final numbers are going to end up to be, but he's definitely going to be knocking on the door because, again, I think we have to, and I know Jaws takes it, I think, more into account than some other stats, but I think you just have to look at their top years and against, the competition, and he's got to be on that short list of guys that are going to be knocking on the door for the Hall of Fame.
He's going to be such an interesting case because the older voters love innings, right? They love innings, but they
Yes.
also love awards. So what one do you like more is going to be
Well,
the
and
question.
also, I think, what if he wins the Cy Young and wins a World Series?
That enters an interesting question about how much value do you give. Like if he were to win World Series MVP, 100%. Here's the thing, and I just looked at his WAR. First off, only had 2.1 baseball reference WAR last year. I don't understand that, but
I don't
whatever.
understand it. I
Um,
don't understand any of it anymore.
I think they really ding people for walks with WAR, and that's going to hurt him. Obviously, he walks a lot of people. 23.4 career WAR, so he's not on pace to do it as of now.
No.
Normally got to get around 50, and he's not even really in the ballpark.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be
probably
tough.
not. But I would venture to guess he'd be the only three-time Cy Young Award winner to not be in the Hall of Fame if that does happen.
I'm intrigued to see how I don't know how to word this. How eager, how close. I really want him to go to Seattle, like where he's from up there. I know that the Mariners were in that at some point they had brought their name up of where he wanted to finish his career.
You're talking about Snell?
Yeah, with Snell. I wonder if the Mariners made a legit offer because here's what's my thinking. This is
No.
how the brain works. He ends up there, that frees up them dealing one of those young guys, which opens up a legitimate trade for the St. Louis Cardinals. Whether that's Gilbert, whether that's Miller, whether that's who's the other guy that I'm missing right now that's there?
Woo.
Woo, right? So that's where I was
Castillo.
thinking. I would have loved to have seen him go there and them just say, we can't hit. We know we can't hit. So we're just going to outpitch everyone until we can start to hit. That's what I would have loved to see. But I get it. I understand what he did.
I hear what you're saying, but here's what they could have also done instead of that. Sign Alex Bregman and then trade one of your pitchers anyway because you don't need five aces.
Well, Bregman hasn't signed yet, right?
No, I'm just saying signing Blake Snell would have been dumb for them, I think, honestly.
Yeah,
Unless
with
you're
him
trading
being
Castillo, unless that's the move.
right, which could have been a possibility. Anyway, I'm pumped for
But what did he
Snell.
get 6 years? I'm trying to look. I can't.
I thought he got 5, but maybe it was 6.
Five for one. Was it five for like 170, 180?
Something
Around
like that. Yes.
Yeah, he could still be pitching. He'll be 37 when that deal's
Yeah.
over. So maybe.
That's when the Cardinals will sign him for 400 million for 3 years.
Speaking of old lefties, Aroldis Chapman still getting paid $10 million in Major League Baseball. How about that?
Do we need to get into that at all?
He was great last year, by the way.
I know.
The one thing I'll say, and I'm not going to get into all of the Aroldis Chapman. Just look up Aroldis Chapman back history, and you'll understand everything about him. The Red Sox fans forever have dogged on the Yankees for having Aroldis Chapman on their team after what he did.
Yes.
So now you just have him on your team, but he's not as good. So that's funny to me. I just think that's funny.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy? Aroldis Chapman, by the way, 99th percentile in fastball velocity at the age of 36 last year.
What's his overall WAR? Do you know that?
It has to be in the 40s. It has to be like
Is
up
he a
there.
Hall of Famer?
No, not. Um, he would be an interesting case without the character clause, but they have that, so no.
Can I tell you what almost made me vomit the other day? Was that somebody as a Cardinal fan?
21, by the way. 21.
Okay.
I really overshot with 40. He
Yeah,
probably
you
would
weren't
be.
even close.
Well, no, I didn't take into account the relievers. Like that's really a really good reliever war.
Somebody posted the numbers, lifetime numbers of Bruce Suter's versus Billy Wagner's, excuse me for that, right there. And they're not even close. And Bruce Suter's in the Hall of Fame, and Billy Wagner isn't. Can we get him? And by the way, this is not a shot at Bruce Suter. I'm not saying Bruce doesn't deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. It's not even close to when you look at the two by each other. Like not even close.
I
Can we
think
get Billy Wagner in the Hall of Fame, please?
I think this conversation will end next year. That's all I'll say.
Why has it gone this long? That's my issue, bro. And you know that.
It took
The
Edgar
man's a
10
Hall of
years.
Famer. He was. I watched him pitch his entire career. He was a Hall of Famer.
I don't know. And honestly, like him and Trevor Hoffman are really close. It's like there's perception around, and Trevor Hoffman obviously deserves to be in. Mo deserves to be in, and Mo's the greatest closer of all time, in my
Of
opinion.
all time.
But there's like perception around certain closers that exceeds how much better they really were than other closers. Like Kelly Jansen's going to be up there with Trevor Hoffman probably in most stats. Like, is he going to get in? I don't know.
He should. I mean, what was Wagner? 5'10", and he's throwing 99-mile-an-hour
Short
seeds
king.
at people.
Left-handed. And he was also like amazing as right-handed hitters. Like he was great.
Is he the all-time leader as a lefty in saves?
Yes.
Yeah, Franco. I know John Franco's probably on that list somewhere, but
Yeah. I mean, Franco might have him. Franco's not
I
a Hall
think
of
it's
Fame either.
Wagner. But either way, I saw that the other day, and I was like, well, in my mind, Bruce Suter's a Hall of Famer, but I've always said Billy Wagner's a Hall of Famer. But then you look at the numbers, you're like, it's not even close. It's not close.
If you're Josh Hader, do you think you're thinking, what do I have to do to get in? If he's not in?
Yeah. I don't know what happens there. That's gonna be interesting. We got some
Josh Hader's
interesting ones
special.
from your generation that are going to be really interesting to see
Andrew
how
Kittredge,
Andrew
Keenan
Miller
Middleton.
to see how that works out. I'm really intrigued because again, I guess it's hard to look at Wagner versus Suter because it's two separate eras. But I think you have to at some point. I think you have to put him. It's almost like they said, well, we have 5 relievers from that period. We don't want 6, whatever the number is. I made up 5. I don't know what the number is.
To be fair, and you watched him, obviously. I didn't watch him because I wasn't alive. Suter also wasn't only in save opportunities. He would come in the 8th inning. He'd come in the 7th inning. Like he was a closer, but his save numbers aren't going to be as good as he was of a reliever because he wasn't always coming in the 9th inning. Herzog deployed him whenever he needed him. He was a fireman.
I was taking zero shot at Bruce Suter.
I don't
want everybody to
understand
context. Yeah, but what
I think
Billy
that's important
Wagner
context when you look at Bruce Suter's career.
Was unbelievable, like unbelievable. He was dominant for. I mean, they said, "Well, do you think he should have waited?" He retired at 39. Like, why does he need to pitch longer than 30? I don't get it. That's the one right now. I mean, there's a few of them. Let's put Gary Sheffield in the Hall of Fame, please.
He'll never get in.
I hate the Hall. Dude, I think I hate the Hall of Fame.
I think it's ridiculous that David Ortiz, and he should be in, but that David Ortiz is in the Hall of Fame and Gary Sheffield isn't. That's all I'll say.
We agree 100% on that.
Because I think they're both Hall of Famers. I watched them. I didn't watch Gary much. I watched David Ortiz's career. Every single game I watched David Ortiz play in my life, especially as a Cardinal fan, we remember it's traumatic. I thought that dude's one of the best hitters that's ever stepped foot in the batter's box.
Yep. Agreed. 100% agreed. You think, okay, I got a couple questions for you. I just kind of want to get your input. Do you think the Cubs end up trading Bellinger into who?
The Yankees apparently really want him, which is weird because they didn't try to sign him last offseason. What are the Cubs doing? I don't know. My answer to your question
they signed Matt
is
Boyd.
I have no clue. Yeah, the contracts Boyd and Montas signed are wild. And that can open up a big can of worms about Fetty and Matz and those guys being Fetty we always knew was tradable. He's very cheap and pretty good. But Matt's like $11 million for 1 year. Like that's less than what Matt Boyd got.
Right now, those two guys look like their value just went up. That's what I will say. In trade,
I think Matz has almost no value. Just to be honest, with you. I think you can trade him.
I meant but yes, Fetty for sure.
Fetty's value, like I don't know if they will trade him, but if they're not at least looking into it, they're foolish.
Yeah. So what do you think about Belly? What do you think ends up happening there?
I really don't know. I don't know why they're doing this.
I don't
Like,
either.
if you're the Cubs and you're in a market right now where, yeah, the big boys are going after Soto and they're going to probably, some of them go after Bregman, maybe. I haven't even heard much about that. And Adamas, his name is being thrown around everywhere. Sure. But if you're in a market right now where you're the Cubs and you're the third biggest market in the country, is that right? Up there,
They
top
are.
five?
Houston's
Yeah,
Houston's close. I don't know where they are now,
it's right
but
up there,
yes,
regardless.
Chicago
And
third.
you
I would
don't
call
have
them
to,
third.
but you're also in the market where you're not relying on these RSNs. You don't have that problem. So if you're the Cubs, you should be like, man, we should go. This is the year. Let's go spend some money. I don't understand why they act like they do. It's very weird. And I'm glad they do because it's funny. And I make fun of Cubs fans for it. Like a Chicago team that acts like they're in Cincinnati sometimes. It makes no sense. Um, I just, why are they trading Nico Horner and Cody Bellinger?
And then I saw a report today that they're potential suitors along with Cincinnati for Garrett Crochet.
I mean, that would make no, they have four lefties already.
I don't know. I
You know
again,
what? Do it.
who knows?
Do it. Go ahead. Do it.
Who
Do it and
knows?
try to win a playoff series with four lefties. Try, please.
Nolan Gorman will never get in a bat against the Cubs.
That's fine. We'll give him the Cesar Prieto. No,
And
he's left-handed too.
Michael Ciani will play every day despite it. All right. Is there anybody else out there that you're paying attention to right now? Obviously, Soto's the big name. Bregman is out there. We've talked about him. Adamas, that's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I'm going to be honest, I'd like to see Adamas go back to Milwaukee. I don't think it happens, but I'd like to see him just stay
Pat Murphy
there.
said it's not going to happen.
I understand.
They
And it's
asked
not a
about it.
Pat
They're
Murphy
like,
decision, but yes.
no, but they asked Pat Murphy and he said, great player, loved having him. If he gets what he wants, he's not coming here. That's what he said.
Correct.
It's like, okay,
Anybody you're
okay.
really watching in this next week?
Like, I think once Soto signs, Boris can kind of go on a frenzy and start dishing out contracts. Like Blake Snell, I think he signed a lot of it was maybe a little bit of post-traumatic stress disorder from last offseason. He said, get me my money and get me out of here. I don't know. Like, it's weird because Soto's taken up so much of people's minds, rightfully so. He's amazing. That I haven't heard a Bregman rumor other than the Astros offering him a contract, allegedly.
Alonzo's
So
out
I
there
don't know.
too.
I haven't heard one
Not
word
one,
about Pete Alonso.
not a peep. But again, to be fair, have not been on X. So,
If his market,
and I am
I'm on
talking
it all
about
the time.
the website before somebody starts spreading rumors. Talking about the website. That's
I don't
what
know. Okay.
That's all I wanted. I just want people to know that that's what we're talking
Just
about
call
right
it
now.
Twitter, please.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Pete Alonso's just gonna go back to the Mets, I guess. I don't know. Like,
I don't
who
either.
wants him? Who
Also,
wants Pete Alonso?
last question I have before we get to the dumbest thought in Major League Baseball history is the poor Giants. They try for everyone. Like we get made fun. Like the Cardinals fans make fun of the Cardinals of, oh, we finished second. Those motherfuckers out there on the left coast, they finish 1.5 every time for every player.
I don't think they're ever in consideration. I think they're used to as leverage in every
So
situation, which sucks for them.
they're exactly like we are.
No, because I don't think we're ever in on the good players.
Let me ask you this last question, and we don't have to spend a long time. But I kind of got into a little discussion, and I tend to agree with the premise. But do you think there's ever a world where someone buys the Cardinals and moves them out of St. Louis?
No, not chance.
What is your reasoning for it? I tend to agree, by the way.
Give me one example in the history of sports that's comparable to that happening.
The Dodgers, the Yankees, and the Giants.
The Yankees never
not
left.
the Yankees. That's not what I meant. Dodgers and the Giants. Sorry, not the Yankees.
Okay,
Dodgers,
that's not comparable because we don't have
A's,
4 teams in our state.
Phillies, Braves. 5 of the
What?
largest franchises have moved in Major League Baseball, is all I'm saying.
Okay, post 1950.
The A's.
Yeah, so they moved from Oakland, right? But that was an
Correct.
ownership thing. No,
I agree with you, but I think it's also I'm not saying
this is ridiculous in my opinion.
It is. I understand that. But it was one of those things that I actually hadn't thought of a lot until I started kind of digging into some baseball history of teams that have moved.
No, Dad. The Cardinals are the
Please
perfect.
understand.
Hold on, hold on.
I agree. They're not moving. I agree.
There is not one businessman that is dumb enough to not see how valuable the Cardinals are. You don't have to spend a lot because you're not in a big market, and you will make tons of money just by putting a team out there that doesn't look like dog crap.
That's the fans' expectations now. That's the line. Dog crap is the line. Be above
Like
it.
it's seriously like if you put out a team out there that is entertaining or even just boring, like all the teams in the middle of the 2010s after 2015, they were all boring and I didn't even enjoy watching most of them. But they were good enough to almost get to the postseason. You're going to be top 3 in attendance.
No,
And
I think what for
that
me
this is
was
dumb. I don't even like that you brought this up.
it's not
Like
because
that's so
here's what started.
stupid.
Hold on. Here's what started the discussion was the Major League Baseball would never let them move. That was the
No,
premise.
they won it. Dad, don't compare Oakland to the Cardinals. I swear to God, be
I'm
serious.
not. I'm just saying that there is precedent in the sport
There
for
isn't.
your top franchises moving. There is. The Dodgers and the Giants went west.
Right. But there's already a team in New York.
I get it, and they brought in the Mets. I understand
And
all of
Candlestick
that.
was being torn down.
Can what? Hold on.
Wasn't it?
I Candlestick wasn't torn down till the 90s.
When was Candlestick torn down? So what was Polo
90s.
Grounds? That's what it was. The Polo Grounds was being torn down. That's what I meant. Sorry.
I want everyone to understand. I'm not saying they can move. I simply wanted to get your take on that because I don't think that ever happens as well. But I thought that was an interesting thing to where they're.
It's not interesting.
Okay. See, this is how my
I
brain
genuinely
works
don't think that. Like that's dumb.
Okay. All right. I like that. I like that where you're at. I like the headspace.
Like, do you think so? You think Bill DeWitt's going to sell the team? First off, in general, that's hilarious. It's never going to happen.
Don't think
to
so.
John Fisher the second,
or Stan Kroenke.
Like if you're buying the Cardinals, you're buying them knowing that you have a built-in cash cow.
Yeah, I think also St. Louis fans are they have PTSD a little bit after seeing the Hawks leave, the Cardinals leave, the Rams leave, the Blues almost leave. I think there is that PTSD out there for people. And I just thought it was interesting to think, would MLB allow it? I don't think it ever happened.
No, they won it.
Well, I don't
know.
Could
you imagine?
You think Robbie Robb steps in and says that we're not allowing that after the debacle that just happened in Oakland?
I think that's different because I don't think the Cardinals would ever have an Oakland attendance.
Will you be buying a Nashville Cardinals hat?
If they move to Nashville, I'm not watching baseball anymore. They will lose all of their
let's
fans.
move on. All right, I want to get out of here because I got stuff to do, and I got your grandparents.
That was so
dumb.
I might cut that out. That was so stupid.
It wasn't because that's
why. Who were you talking to about that? I have to know.
There's no worries about who
was it.
No, I'm not putting people.
Was it your?
And I was in agreement with them. By the way, first of all, I was in agreement that it's not going to happen. I just simply was saying that there is precedent. No, it was not. Okay, let's move on. It was not D. Absolutely not. No, absolutely not. This golden ticket rule.
Oh, yeah. Golden.
I can't. I just can't, Caleb. I can't when this comes up. I cannot with this man.
I have a couple of thoughts. One,
I hope.
I appreciate that he is trying. I think there is merit.
Stop.
Hold on.
Stop trying to
let me go.
Sugarcoat
I think there is merit to wanting your best players in the biggest moments because every other sport has that. You're in the NHL. If it's 30 seconds left and you're pulling the goalie, McDavid and Draisaitl are out there. If you're playing the Thunder, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has the ball in his hands. If you're on the NFL, Patrick Mahomes game-winning drive, it's primetime must-watch TV. Okay, I get wanting that in your sport, but this idea is ridiculous. A better idea, and this is still stupid, but a better one would be you get to pick where you start in the lineup in the ninth inning if you're down by 2 runs or more.
No, that's idiotic. Stop making these things up.
But I do get it. Like you have to understand why they're. But you have hold on. Once the baby boomers generation's gone, which is going to happen at some point in the next 30 years, the baseball will be in trouble with their fan base if they don't gain more younger viewers. So should they be trying to find ways to get younger viewers into the game? Yes, they should. And if you're 80 years old and you're saying, I hate this, they're not doing it for you. So I don't want this, but I do think it's smart to start thinking about things that could be more entertaining.
Zero argument there. There's a lot of places to start besides this.
It's interesting, though. You know what I thought of?
It's not.
No, here's why it's interesting. Imagine being Aaron Boone. Okay. and you have to choose between Juan Soto and Aaron Judge and tell one of them why you didn't pick them. I love the
That's
idea of
the
that.
problem that you came up with.
And could you imagine though, like ninth inning, a righty on the mound. You kind of want the lefty in Soto, but you have Aaron Judge. Who you picking?
And I don't even care, bro. I'm picking Scott
But
Brooks
isn't
from
that okay? Go
1995.
at least play along. That's that. Aaron Boone has to go up to one of them if the other one strikes out and say, "Sorry, I didn't choose you, buddy." I want to see that happen. If this happens, if that rule happens, I need documentaries on the players that are pissed off that they
We
weren't
already
chosen.
got 2 Mickey Mouse rules in the game as it is right now. And if people
You
can,
know-
by the way, can I say this one more time? And I don't know how else to say it to people without sounding like a complete ass. And I do not mean to. But if you were calling it the Ghost Runner, you did not grow up playing wiffle ball. That's all I got to say.
Why are
And
we
I feel
getting angry
sorry for
about
you
stupid things? Who cares?
because it's not the goat.
I
Bro,
don't
there's a
care.
human out there.
Which is also, by the way, that rule's fine. I hate the
No, it's
people
Mickey
that
Mouse.
get
I
mad
hate
about
it.
that.
I hate
You
it.
see, yeah, we need to just ruin pitchers' arms even more than they already are.
And I hate the
18
three out
games.
inning. I hate the 3 out thing too.
What do you through what?
That you have to face three.
No, dude,
hitters,
make the no. I like that. Be more. No, I do
bro.
like that.
You got your generation's ruining the game.
No, the game was already ruined by your generation in the '90s when it almost died.
No, that was awesome.
It did it almost die?
That's because that wasn't from my generation.
That wasn't your generation.
We also had the most exciting 3 years of baseball history from my generation.
Yeah,
all right,
and
bring steroids back.
yeah, honestly,
Start popping more of them if that's what we need to do. Let's not
No,
pick who we're. Hey, I want my
I-
number 8 and number 9 hitters to look like Mark McGwire in 1999, 98. That's what I want.
Viewership has gone up since pitch clock.
I love the pitch clock. Love it.
I don't. What's your problem with in the regular season having a Manfred Man on second base?
By the way, Manfred Mann, great band from the 70s. Great band. Anyway,
Okay.
anyway, also remember when you shit on my widespread panic references last time? There's already been 1 or 2 in this.
Can we
podcast,
stop with your ADD and
people
answer the
loved it.
question?
So I don't want to hear from you ever again. It's your generation that's ruining shit. Either way, it's play the game, dude. Play the game. It feels like
You don't need to go
10U
18
tournament.
innings. Nobody likes
it
that.
feels like a 10U tournament,
Dude.
and I hate it.
Okay. Nobody wants to watch an 18-inning game. The players don't want it. The coaches don't want it. The league doesn't want it. And the freaking fans don't want it. So what's the point?
I want it. I miss those games.
No,
Those
you
were awesome.
don't.
Remember the
No, they
21 inning
weren't.
game versus the Marlins? That was fantastic.
Do you remember the one where Julio Lugo was tagged and they called him safe to end the game? I do.
I
No
don't
one
remember
wants it.
that.
He was
I
on
get
the
it.
Braves.
I understand it. I don't like it, but I also don't like the 3. Like I said, I don't like them.
Yeah,
I love
we
the
need
pitch clock.
85 pitching changes every game. That's fun to watch. Bring the young fans in. They just have to sit there for 4 hours and watch the manager walk out to the mound. Half of them can barely walk to the mound, so we need to give their hips more stress. Like, no, I'm tired of it. With that, it's fine. If you can't get both sides out, then you're probably not a major league pitcher anyway.
Stop. I hate. See, you guys, this is a video game generation. You have no attention span. Get smarter. What's that
Yeah,
U of
your
I
generation-
education doing?
You do realize that baseball started like go falling behind to football and basketball due to your generation.
No,
Ours is just continuing the
that's not
trend.
true. That's
Right,
not
baseball
true.
was just as popular as Michael Jordan in the 90s.
Do what?
Was baseball as popular as basketball in
Well,
the 90s?
no,
when
that's
Michael
not what I'm
Jordan was doing
saying. What I'm saying is like that's not out of baseball's doing outside of shooting themselves in the foot and ending a World Series. You can thank a whole lot of people for that one.
Well, this conversation was pointless. Okay, let's go. Golden at bat rule never going to happen.
Never. I
gonna
hope
do
not. Can't happen. Can't happen.
I do think it'd be fascinating though. Who do you pick on the Dodgers? Otani, Freddie, or Mookie?
And then how do you tell them? How do you tell the other 2? That's
Seriously,
what you want to
who do
know.
you pick?
You're way more concerned about that. Put a mic in the
Who-
dugout.
Imagine, and also the one thought I did have: what happens if there's nobody out and you bring up your golden at bat, and then his spot in the order comes back up while he's on base?
Yeah, fantastic question.
What happens? They
Does he
have
go-
someone
they'll
else
let him go
going
hit
at
again.
him?
Go. That's where the ghost runner comes in.
Also,
Just
how pissed
ghost
would
runner,
you be?
and now you come hit.
How pissed would you be if you had the moment of your lifetime in front of you, bases loaded, winning run on second base, 2 outs? You're coming up, you're like, this could be my moment, a rookie. And then they're like, I think we're going to have this other guy hit for you.
Terrible. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And we would have never had the David Freeze moment.
We would have in that postseason. They would have let him hit.
Over Albert?
Did you watch Albert in that
Yeah, he
postseason
had 3
outside of
home runs
the?
in game 5. I did watch
Yeah,
Albert. Yes.
and he was like, oh, he had like one hit the rest of the World Series.
Doesn't matter. As a manager, you don't think Tony's putting Albert in there?
After he had just gotten out, no.
So we would have lost so many. We would have had the Joe Carter moment. We would have had so many moments through baseball with this stupid
Joe
ass
Carter
rule.
was like one of the best hitters on that team.
Have you heard of guys like McGriff and Roberto Alomar at the time?
I said one of. They would have let Joe Carter hit. I think
They
it's
would
more
not
for
have.
like
They would not have. He was not their
Pedro
best hitter.
Paez's.
He was not their best hitter.
It doesn't mean you have the guy hitting every. Okay.
It was the biggest moment in the game. That's why you have the fucking rule.
Was it extra innings?
Yeah, 10th, 9th, or 10th, whatever it was.
So when the odds have been, they would have used that rule already at that point. Just saying.
You're killing me here. I don't understand I don't understand your generation. I'm getting that. I'm gonna start scaling at people to get off my lawn.
It would be funny if this rule was implemented. Like, what do you do when your star's in a slump? Do you keep sitting him out there in big moments?
Hey,
like Aaron Judge in the postseason? Keep sitting him out there?
I hope this happens and you have to cover one of these teams. And your first question to Freddie Freeman is, how do you feel that Ohtani hit the game-winning home run, but Dave Roberts did not pick
I wouldn't ask him.
That's what I wanted you to be. I wanted that to be your first question in the postseason.
I wouldn't ask them that, but I'm sure I was giving a specific example of Juan Soto and Aaron Judge, two amazing hitters. Like Freddie Freeman is well aware that Ohtani's better than him, I imagine. So, I don't know.
I want you to ask Juan Soto. Juan.
But seriously,
what do you think?
You don't think that's interesting, though?
$7,000 million.
So you don't think it's interesting that you have the doubt slam dunk MVP and you have a righty with nasty sinkers like Blake Trinan, and like Soto's the right choice, but how do you tell the best hitter on the planet that it's Soto?
Yeah, I agree.
And then
all right, that's all I got to say about that. We spent way too much time on the golden ticket rule. Whatever it's called. I hate it.
I don't like it.
Why does he come up with these things?
It's not just him.
Who is
former
it?
players that are in his
Mozeliak?
ear? They have former players on their staff. You know that, right?
Who is
Ken Griffey Jr.
That's a little smart alecky there. You think Ken Griffey Jr. is coming up with that idea?
I would imagine they talked to him about it. I would guess.
All right, I got to get
kind of silly not to utilize him if he's there, right?
This is idiotic.
They're not going to.
All right, thank you guys for listening.
Passed.
We greatly appreciate you. If there is news, which I assume there will be coming up with the winter meetings, we will be back here soon. Everybody have a fantastic weekend, and we will be back before you know it. Go Cards.